All right, well, I'm sure a lot of us out there enjoy hot and spicy food. I think Gavin and I are gonna lay off the spicy foods for a while. My mouth is kind of like a blazing furnace, which reminds me, there is a blazing furnace in our Bible breakdown today. So let's get that breakdown with Gavin.
Our story begins with Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And if you were here last week, we learned that the Jewish people were not obeying God the way they were supposed to. So they were captured by these people called the Babylonians and forced away from their homes. But even during this time of exile, Daniel and his friends showed such loyalty and trust to God. They knew that God was with them every step of the way, no matter what. Even if that meant being thrown into a blazing furnace for not doing what the king said. Let me explain. The king of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, yeah, that was his name, King Nebi, made a huge statue of himself in the city. I mean like huge. I'm talking 90 feet high. The king had one of his workers gather all the people together and told them that anytime they heard the sounds of music from harps, trumpets, and other instruments playing, everyone must bow down and worship the statue. Basically, the king was forcing everyone to worship him. Here's the kicker. The king said that if anyone decides to not bow down and worship the statue, they will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace. That sounds like that would hurt pretty bad. But Daniel's friends Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in the crowd and they heard all of this. But they knew they shouldn't worship the statue or the king. God was the only one they should worship. So when all these instruments began playing music, everyone started to bow down and worship the statue. Well, everyone except Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they kept standing. While every single person was bowing down to this statue, they were the only ones standing up for God. That's incredible. Well, the king found out about this, and as you can imagine, he was not too happy about it. He was furious. Daniel's friends were brought before the king, and the king said to them, "Guys, you will bow down to the statue, and if you don't, you're going to be thrown into the blazing furnace. Got it?" But Daniel's friends knew that that wasn't the right thing to do. So knowing God had their back, they told the king, "King Nebuchadnezzar, if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Wow. Do they realize what they just told the king to his face? They straight up told the king that he can throw them into the furnace if he wanted, but they were only going to serve God and God alone. That took some major guts to say that, but they trusted that God was with them. And I wish I could say the king was merciful to these guys and let them off the hook, but he did what he said he was going to do. He threw them into the blazing furnace. And he was so upset with them that he had the flames 7 times hotter than normal. It was so hot that the soldiers who threw them into the furnace were killed instantly. No one could survive that. So it seemed like Daniel's friends were toast. But then, the king noticed something in the furnace. He was like, "Wait just 1 second. Didn't we throw just 3 people in there? Why do I see 4 people? There was someone else in the furnace with them." The king was amazed. Not only did he see a 4th person with them, but Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were still alive. The fire was not affecting them at all. How was that possible? So the king ordered to get them out of the furnace, and when they were out, there were no signs of burns anywhere. Not even a hair was singed. The king couldn't believe it. God had sent someone to protect them in the furnace. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego completely trusted God, and God had their backs. The king was also so mind-blown that he promoted them and even started worshiping God himself. How cool. See, God was with Daniel's friends. They trusted him even when they had a chance of dying. But God had their backs the whole time. And he has our backs too. No matter what you're feeling, or when things don't seem to be going your way all the time at home, at school, or with your friends, trust that God is with you. because He is with you. He's got your back. This week, remember, God's got you.
Wow, what an awesome story. Thanks, Gavin. Right now in your groups, guys, I want you to talk more about this story. Just remember, God always has our back, so talk about that. Enjoy your week. We'll see you next time. And remember, God's got you.